Alright, David Harry here, and as we can see here, I've got an iPhone SE 2020 on a 3-axis gimbal stabilizer. So what I'm going to do is show you some footage of stuff that I did yesterday with this system. Look, it does work. Show you some stuff that I did with this system yesterday, where I went out and did a whole bunch of shots just to see what it was going to be like on a gimbal. Now, just before I get into this, just two quick things. One, I'm having a whole load of issues with the phone itself, or more with its camera and its basic app, because don't forget, a lot of these things that I'm doing here is to like encourage people to just use it as a basic device, so using the basic app and stuff. Now, unfortunately, I'm having problems with like color, skin tones, exposure, blur, and basically every conceivable problem you could possibly have with the camera. I'm having it with the basic app on this in auto mode and stuff like that. So what it is, rather than keep going on about this every time I do a video, because these problems will be there, and they most certainly are there in this video as well, I've prepared another video, which is, there'll be a link here and there'll be a link in the descriptions, which will take you to another video just basically explaining all the problems that I've got with it. Because what I can't do is this every time. I can't stop at the front of a video and keep going on about all the problems before I get into the video. So I've prepared another video that explains all that. So from here on in, I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff with different microphones with this phone, maybe some other things as well. And what I will do at the beginning of those videos, I will just say, look, check this video here for all the problems that I've got with the phone so far. Now, unfortunately, there are other issues as well that I've come up against, and they are to do with file corruption and, like, you know, well, basically playing a lot of the files and getting at them from a Windows system as well. I've just done, I think, another video about that. That may already be up, or it may be going up. But nonetheless, I will be documenting my problems as I'm going along with this stuff, as well as documenting, obviously, the good stuff as well. Anyway, so on with the video. Oh, sorry, just one quick thing as well. What it is, the very first clip in this sequence now is referring to a clip just before it. Don't worry about that. What it is, that was one of those things that I had a problem with. The phone actually corrupted the file and I couldn't get at it. But it won't kind of make any difference, because what I've done here right now is just explain realistically what was in the missing clip. I just did that one outdoors with the rest of it originally, hence why I'm doing the indoor bit now as well. Anyways, now on with the video. All right, so back to talking about what the point of the video is, which is to do with gimbals and such. So what I'm going to do here for the best part of it is just use the front facing camera, which is what I'm on now. And the reason for that is because it's most likely that people will want to use this as a selfie device. Me personally, I don't use front-facing screens, and I have to be dead honest as well. I find them a massive distraction. So you'll have to forgive me if I start doing that thing that I hate when I see it in other YouTube videos, where somebody should be looking at the camera, but then suddenly they're looking at themselves, and they're seeing themselves okay, but you're seeing somebody looking right away from you, you know, and it's really rude. You know, it's like, look at me if you're talking to me. Anyways, yeah, so I don't normally use like flippy outs or front facing screens. I tend to just use a wide angle lens on whatever it's on, and just kind of like get a bit of a sense for where I am in the frame. But anyway, yes, it's most likely that anybody using the SE for doing vloggy stuff is more likely to want to use the front-facing camera, obviously for all the reasons I've just explained. So I will kind of concentrate on using this, and of course, everything that I've done up to this point, the first clip and now this second clip, it's all done on the gimbal. So are we seeing any benefits here? You know, to using this gimbal? Does it look really smooth? I mean, I know the name of the gimbal is smooth, but are we seeing a smooth stabilized image? Because the one thing we have to bear in mind here is quite often, if you use two completely different independent stabilization systems at the same time, you can have a number of problems with them, because one might start fighting against the other. It's just down to the way one may perceive what is meant to be a movement which is real, and one which it's trying to correct and compensate for. So like I said, there's always that issue of using two forms of stabilization, that one of them may start fighting against the other, and you might get weirdo little judders and little nutty effects from it and stuff like that. So for the best part, how is this looking But you might say, but Dave, how do we know how this is looking if we don't know what it looks like without it? Well, what I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to do a little bit of a walk, which I'll try and keep myself paced properly, and I'll do it with and without the stabilizer. And then I'll do another one where I try and split screen it and hopefully get something which is, not a complete mess, shall we say. All right, so for the first taking, I'll explain what it is that I'm doing. Okay, so what it is here, I'm handheld, so I'm relying upon whatever electronic image stabilization that the phone does on its own. To be doing its, it's compensating for movements. So what I'm going to do is walk for a little distance. I've tried to time myself from a certain point by a stick back there to be able to try and reproduce this same walk with the gimbal next time. Although, this just isn't scientific at all, and the measurements are most certainly a bit mad. Right, there's a bunch of bluebells there where I think I'll stop. So I'm going to go back and try doing the same thing with the gimbal. Okay, so the second pass now with the gimbal on, and what it was, I thought I'd marked off a stick up there where it started the walk from, and then spotted where the bluebells were down there, where to end the walk. But as you can probably guess, there's a ton of sticks up there and there's loads of bluebells down there, so this is probably a little bit mad. What I should really have done is got in touch with ILM and George Lucas and asked them could I borrow their tracking system for this shot. Anyway, I think that'll probably do just for these two quick takes. I'll just stand still a second. Now what I'm going to do, despite the fact that obviously I'm saying I don't really want to or I want to mostly concentrate on the front camera, I'm going to do a little bit with the rear camera. So let me just go somewhere else and I'll just do a couple of quick takes with and without the gimbal and see how it affects the rear camera. Although the best benefit that we're going to get here will be to the front camera. All right, so how did that look just then? So what it was, they were two shots there using the rear 4K camera, which I'm still on right now just for a little bit. And one shot had the gimbal and the other one didn't have the gimbal. So was there much of a difference in there? And when the gimbal was on, was that fighting with anything, with any of the stabilization? It may even be the case that the mechanical gimbal may not be like a bit of an enemy, shall we say, to the OIS. Maybe it works okay. Maybe it's been working fine all the time anyway, and nothing has been fighting with itself. I don't know until I get back in and have a look. But let me know in the descriptions below what you think. Now, the only reason why I've stayed on the back camera right now is just so we can get an idea of what it would be like for vlogging. Now, a couple of problems here. The microphones are now butted up right against one of the motors, so I don't know if we're getting motor noise during this. And the other thing as well, the rear camera isn't particularly wide, so it may not be that suitable for a vlogging camera. I think it's ace resolution wise and stuff. When you're putting it away from yourself, it's cool for that, but for vlogging here, not entirely sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is flip back around to the front and I'll walk and talk my way out of this video. Okay, so I'm just going to walk and talk my way out of this video now. Now, just one quick thing to bear in mind also right now, because we may be picking it up, and that's the fact that it's got a little bit breezy, and I don't have any protection whatsoever on the internal mics here. So don't forget as well, this is all being done on the internal mics, which I actually think are very, very good for what they are. This is, I think, a really good audio that you can get out of these things. Now, I will be doing a video at some point soon. I might actually shoot it today because there is a bit of a breeze, and that video is going to be using the micro dead cats with the Rycote micro dead cats with this system, and then we'll get a gauge of what we can do with that. In fact, what I'm going to do here, if you can just have a little look here, there's some steps going down here to another pathway. I'm just going to do a serious test of how good or bad actually This isn't a test of how good or bad the gimbal is. This is a test of how good or bad my internal gimbal system is. Hold on. So if I can do this without breaking a leg or falling down here. Okay, so this is very bumpy and there's steps and stuff and it's really rough. Let's see how the gimbal is handling this. Seriously, there's a very rough terrain and a bunch of steps here. I'll be lucky not to break my legs. Right. Okay, so we'll see exactly how it's handled. All right, so hopefully I've kind of done a bunch of things here and maybe push this gimbal a fair bit just to give people an idea, you know, of what they may be looking for or what they think they can get if they use a gimbal with their SC and whatnot. I mean, don't forget, these gimbals are for any phone, but very specifically, this video is being done with the SC. Now, the other thing to bear in mind with these gimbals, like I said from the outset, I picked this one up second-hand for 60 quid. Now, if you're only going to be wanting to do this thing, as in just stabilize a vlog position like this, you do not need like a mad expensive gimbal with like tons of mad functions. Hold on. Yeah, you don't need any special functions for doing this. So the most basic function of a gimbal is to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Now you can get some gimbals that do all kinds of mad tracking stuff. You can kind of communicate with the phone and send stuff off the sensor. There's all kinds of time-lapsey things and whatnot. Now, if you don't require stuff like that, which I would imagine the vast majority of people don't, because I've got to say right now, I've got a few gimbals. And do you know what? You know, some of those weirdo functions, I've never used them. Some of them, I tried them once. I thought, yeah, that's a nice little neat party trick. But most of it, you don't use them. So I would always recommend people just go for a nice, solid, basic gimbal for doing this type of stuff. You don't need anything special. Like I say, 60 quid to do this. And it's like, well, even if you didn't like it in the end, it's not something that you've wasted a ton of money on, is it? Anyways, yeah, I think that's probably me all done now, because I brought out my favourite vlogging mic ever, which is the Rode Video Micro. So I'm just about to do a cool little thing with that, just to give people an idea of what the Video Micro's like. Although, I've got to be dead honest in that video and say that I do like the internal mics anyway. Anyways, I'm going to get off and do that. So if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel and all that stuff. Anyways, I'm David Hardy. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.